All right, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo's Ant-Man and the Wasp spoiler-filled review. And remember, if you like what you see, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you'll be notified of future videos.
Ant-Man and the Wasp teaming up.
Follow my lead.
Okay, we're going to start with what we always start with is performances. And, well, of course, Paul Rudd was excellent. Every time I see him in a movie, like even in the other MCU movies, to me, well, not Civil War so much, but the first Ant-Man, it's like a Paul Rudd movie, but he doesn't take away from the Ant-Man part of it. You know, it still seems like a Paul Rudd movie. He just does a good job of weaving it together. Really, really good actor. And of course, he helped write the movie too. I'm sure he writes the lines that are, more his style. Evangeline Lilly, excellent. She had a little more to do in this movie, and she did it.
What I liked about how each character was written, it was written more towards their strengths. Like Paul Rudd was a little more comedic, Evangeline Lilly was a little more intense, more superhero, more tough, and they just did a great job of writing to the actors, and it really paid off.
Yeah. Of course, there's the Michael Pena, Walton Goggins, and then Hannah John Kamen, who I hadn't seen before this movie. She looked familiar to me. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I guess she was on there. So she's rather new, right? She's like, well, I don't know how old she is, maybe 29, but I hadn't seen her before. I thought she did a great job. I thought she showed some great range in the scenes. Like, she was intense, and then the scene where Scott wakes up and Hope and Hank are not awake yet, and she's just nice as pie to him, and then seconds later when they wake up, she's just like this evil being. Well, we know she wasn't really evil, but
right.
She handled that swing really well.
Well, all the characters had really good depth, I think, in this movie. Hank Pym was a genius, and he did a lot of good things, but he couldn't get along with anybody.
Yeah.
He had a tough time with anyone he's worked with in the past, and I just thought they, really did a great job of making well-rounded characters, even though the villain was kind of underutilized a bit. I'm glad she's still around. May see her again. Maybe we'll see her in Avengers 4. I don't know, but, everyone. I mean, I think the standouts were Rudd, Evangeline, and Michael Pena, but I think everyone did a good job. Even Abby Ryder Fortson, who played young Cassie, Scott Lang's daughter. She did a great job. She had a bigger part in this movie, and she nailed it.
Maybe they're planting seeds with her role too. Maybe she can evolve into that character that we know she can evolve into.
Yeah, and we kind of have a note on that for the other items of note.
Dr. Pym, I actually heard what happened to you. You opened up the quantum realm. That's when this crazy creepy ghost would walks through walls and stuff. Stole your tech. And now she wants to take over the world or whatever.
Okay, plot for this. I really enjoyed the plot. It had a lot of callbacks to the first movie and other movies in the MCU, especially Civil War. And, like we talked about earlier, it really played to all of the actors' strengths. And the really only downside for me of the plot was kind of how easy it was to figure out that Janet Van Dyne was going to cure Ghost when she got out of the quantum realm. But even though I saw that a million miles away, it still didn't ruin the movie for me. I still loved it. It was great. I cannot wait to see it again.
To me, I didn't feel like there was a real antagonist in the movie. I think everybody had their own agenda. Well, maybe Sonny.
Sonny Birch.
Yeah, maybe he was a bit of a villain, but his character wasn't really deep enough to be a serious villain. But the characters that were in it, there was no. I mean, you can call her an antagonist, Ghost, but I don't think she was. I think she was working, just at a different angle. That if you were watching it from her angle, it'd be, she's the good guy. So even with that missing, it was still an excellent movie. I enjoyed it. I've seen it twice already. Other items of note, things that I noticed. Let's start off with the one we were talking about. Who is Sonny working for? I got my theories. It said he was working for some very dangerous people, and obviously they're rich. So
and I think the thing about it too, which they played off well, they never said, because there's a couple options. I think they can go with here. One being Victor Von Doom.
Yep, that was my first.
And
guess,
why they wouldn't want to say it is, until the Disney buyout of Fox is complete, if something happens and it falls through, then they can just say, it was Norman Osborn.
Right.
or it was Justin Hammer.
Right.
Someone who has a lot of money who wants to weaponize the quantum realm or do what they need to do. So I really loved how they played this off because, hey, they get to finish the buyout of Fox. It's Victor Von Doom, and he, is using an intermediary to get this technology that he wants to even become more powerful than he is, which is classic Doctor Doom.
And it could also be Reed Richards. He's trying to.
I don't think Reed Richards would
doesn't
use Sonny Birch.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a villain, is all I'm saying.
No, true. I'm just saying Reed Richards wouldn't do it, but maybe I'm trying to think of a hero who might want to, use that technology for the greater good, but because we do know obviously Hank Pym doesn't get along with the Starks. But I don't think Iron Man would do it either. He would just go try to get it.
What about the real Mandarin? If there is a real Mandarin in this universe,
that's not a bad thought either. Maybe it's the real Mandarin. Once again, it's not really going to go into onto U.S. soil to do this, into San Francisco. So he's using an intermediary that he can pay because he's got tons of money.
Is interesting. You mentioned Hammer. Forget his first name.
Justin.
Terrible with this. Justin Hammer. Because if you're watching Luke Cage, or if you watch Luke Cage, they do have Hammer weapons on that show. And I think that was a little way to bring it back in, like he's still out there. You know?
And that's kind of bringing the television movies another bridge between them. I really hope that one day we see the Defenders show up in a movie here, but we haven't yet. And while we're talking about Sonny Birch, his FBI mole, Jeffrey Ballard, is Centurion in the comics, very Class D villain. He fought Iron Man and Goliath, so I thought that was kind of nice to make him the FBI agent. Just bring that name in as a kind of a shout out to that. Also Ghost's dad in the movie, Elias Starr, is Egghead, who is one of Ant-Man's biggest villains. And although the MCU kind of mixed it up, obviously he died in that explosion that turned Ghost into Ghost, but
he
it's
might
comics.
He might not have died.
So maybe he isn't dead. Maybe we'll see an Egghead, show up in Ant-Man 3 or Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 or Ant-Man and the Wasp enter Egghead.
Yeah,
who knows what it will be. But the thing is, too, and I really liked how, S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of took Ava in and said, hey, we'll cure you, but you're going to work for us. And they never actually helped her, which is, very typical Nick Fury. And if she has been working with S.H.I.E.L.D. since the 90s, the 80s, does Hawkeye or Black Widow know her? Have they worked with her? Are we going to see something maybe in a Black Widow flashback in her movie? Something about Ghost?
Is she in there with Captain Marvel since the 90s? You never know.
Definitely could be.
I did have a few questions about their plot points, and nothing that ruined the movie, just questions. Like for instance, Janet Van Dyne's been in the quantum realm for 30 years, but in that you exist outside of time and space, shrinking forever. Well, how does she know it's been 30 years? These are questions you could answer in the comments below. That'd be wonderful. What do you guys think?
Maybe she had a time vortex that flipped her 30 years in advance.
Maybe she's only been in there for what seems like a second to her, and she went through a vortex, and I don't know. But and then of course she has aged. Her looks have aged. If she's in the quantum realm, would she have aged? 30 years. Would she be Michelle Pfeiffer of the 80s or the 20? That look. What do you think?
Yeah, let us know. Hit the comments. Let us know what you guys think. We talked about it in the performances about an older Cassie Lang. She is stature in the comics, and there is a rumor out there that they cast a 16-year-old girl to play Cassie Lang in Avengers 4.
Yeah, I heard
we
that.
know that there's a possibility of some time travel, which I think was cemented a little more with, which we'll talk about in the post-credit scene. How he's kind of stuck in the quantum realm at the end, and we know about time vortexes and stuff. So I think they hit a lot of times with her saying she wants to be his partner, kind of hammering it home enough that she's going to be stature sometime in the MCU. Whether it's going to be a Young Avengers thing or not, we don't know. And while we were kind of talking about Janet Van Dyne's time in the quantum realm, she talks about how she has evolved while she's there. Maybe that's referencing the X-Men a little bit, kind of a way to bring them in. I don't know. But, she kind of gained some new abilities out of she didn't have in the comics. And, she healed Ghost. She had some ability to help with that. And
Absolutely.
you know, is she going to be? Is there something bad hidden underneath the surface there? Is it really Janet Van Dyne? Is it something that's kind of posing as her, perhaps, or is it, you know, something
Skrull?
inside this? Well, not Skrull, but I was thinking something inside the quantum realm kind of is having a symbiotic relationship with her, and maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, Janet goes bad. Maybe something happens there, or she's just going to be a MacGuffin for the movie because she has this kind of quantum power, and we know if there was a post-credit scene, they were trying to get some of the quantum energy out there to heal Ghost, but maybe Janet had some ulterior motives also. We don't know. While we're kind of talking about the quantum realm, you know, Kevin Feige had an interview with IO9, and he said, like the first movie, there's things in the quantum realm. If you go frame by frame, you'll see clues. Now, I know there's been some pictures that have come out on the internet. I kind of looked at them. I couldn't really make anything out. You know, we're definitely going to have to wait till the Blu-ray comes out so we can check out frame by frame, see if we see anything. But I was thinking, since Peyton Reed has talked about wanting to direct a Fantastic Four movie, maybe we're going to see not necessarily the Fantastic Four, but maybe Annihilus or something else that's going to be in the quantum realm that's going to hint at, you know, things down the road in the MCU. Because we do know if you went frame by frame in Ant-Man in the quantum realm, you could see the outline of the Wasp.
Yeah, it's stuff you gotta really look and go back and look over, look deeply for. I have another item of note that is not related to the plot or maybe future plots. It's the building. I don't know. The building had to be created while it was small. And
right, because it had all the little stuff in it. Like
plus,
it had a big battery powering it.
Yeah,
and,
AA battery.
Yep.
And when they, you know, it's like a suitcase. When they bring up the thing, there's no way they could engineer that in, like, you know, in real life size.
And it seems like they handled that by having, you know, like big, small items kind of making up some of it, like the AA battery, and there were some giant paper clips in there.
Yeah,
and there was
that
a
little
few
knob
other things. Yeah.
that I was hoping that knob would turn up to 11, but like, you know,
that would've been
Deadpool.
funny. That
But
would've
no,
been
it
good.
was only up to 9.
And then, you know, one of the things too that I noticed when Scott is kidnapped, I don't want to say kidnapped, but when he is taken by Hope after he calls Hank with the dream he had, you know, they're in a tiny car and you see a giant pigeon eye looking in a window, kind of reminiscent of Jurassic Park. And later in the movie, and I can't remember who said it, but they called someone Clever Girl. Like when they talk about the raptor in Jurassic Park. If you remember the scene, let us know in the comments. I can't remember to save my life, but I remembered it today. You know, one of the things too, right before he is kidnapped, right before that scene when they take him, he is actually watching Animal House on TV, and you may say, who cares? But the scene they're watching, they're having a pot-fueled discussion about, you know, whether there's galaxies within atoms, and, you know, there's multiple galaxies in his fingernail or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a clever,
I was wondering. I
clever
didn't
placement right there.
You know, I recognized the actors, but I didn't recognize the movie. But go ahead.
And then, you know, we also, you know, learned that Bill Foster, who in the comics was Black Goliath, you know, is working with Hank Pym on a Project Goliath. And, you know, he wants to increase his own size, not as large as, you know...
21 feet.
Yeah, not as large as Scott Lang did in Civil War. But if you remember, you might not remember, but in a deleted scene from Iron Man 2, Iron Man talks about Project Goliath.
Relation to check element viability.
Yeah, listen, you have a ball with that. I know it's going to work. I'm going to take a shower. Tap the Oracle grid. I need some stuff out of storage. Give me everything from projects Pegasus, Exodus, and Goliath. Get ready for a major remodel. Back in hardware mode.
And then finally, we had Stanley's cameo, which was hilarious. You know, Wasp shrinks his car while he's trying to get into it, and he's like, oh, the 60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it. It was a laugh out loud,
Yeah.
you know, little cameo. Usually his cameos are pretty good, but this one was funny. I thought it was great. We're back. Going to talk about that post-credit scene. Well, we had a mid-credit scene and we had a post-credit scene. And, you know, the mid-credit scene...
Excellent.
Very excellent. we kind of there was a lot of speculation before this movie came out that the quantum realm would factor into the kind of time travel story elements leading up to Avengers 4, and it I think does kind of lead up to that. Michelle Pfeiffer was talking about don't get sucked into a time vortex when he's about to traverse, through the quantum realm. And then she had talked earlier about time was weird, and and the microverse strongly implies that they'll be revisiting this in Avengers 4. And something I didn't see, but I've read about it and people have talked about it, and let us know if you guys have seen it, is that right before everyone disappears back in the real world, you see sort of a rainbow colors of all the Infinity Stones in the quantum realm. So whether that power touched the quantum realm or not, let us know if you saw it, if it was just a nice little Easter egg. Awesome. And then we come out, Scott's like, hey guys, this isn't funny, no joking.
Right.
And they pan back outside of the quantum realm and they've all turned to dust after Thanos snapped his fingers.
And you know what? I tell you what, all the way up to there, I was expecting something, but when it happened, I was still kind of shocked. So they did an excellent job with that. And I did read a review in a magazine. I won't mention what it is, but they just got it all wrong. They were just saying, like, after putting all these people together, for the last 2 movies in the Ant-Man movies, and then you just take it away like that, it undermines the whole movie. I don't know, the guy's exact name. I'm not going to mention it, but dude, I think you missed the point. You go back and watch the movies. It's a collective effort.
Yeah, it's serialized storytelling. It's not about this is one movie and it's got to be sort of
with a bow on it.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing it as fan service, which I certainly appreciated, and they're tying it into the other big movie this year, and all coming together for the movies that are coming out next year. So I mean, kudos to Marvel. I think they did a great job.
Yeah, they always close their loops. Whether it's right now when apparently this guy wants it, or like 4 or 5 movies down the road. I don't think that certain things in this movie are going to be wrapped up. Like we were talking about the Sonny's purchase or whatever. That's not going to be wrapped up for like until Phase 4.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen there. I love it when they put it out like that because then they can still wrap it up at any time.
Yeah, they've said they've planned out, the next
20
movies.
Yeah.
So they got stuff hit now that we're not going to see for 5 or 6 more movies or 15 movies. And it's great. I love that. It calls back to earlier movies and they save these things and they show, give us little teaser bits all the time, and just so well done. Now, the actual post-credit scene, not so much. I mean,
it was funny.
Well, it was the ant drumming, but it was something that was in a trailer.
Yeah.
And they have never showed anything from a post or mid-credit scene in a trailer before. So that was a first.
Yeah.
But still, underwhelming. After how good the mid-credit scene was, I was like, oh, we're going to see something Captain Marvel, or we're going to see, something else of him in the quantum realm, maybe running into something, and it was just an ant drum.
Well, I mean, I was underwhelmed by Captain America post-credit scene in Spider-Man, so they kind of all be gold.